Welcome back to Sports Radio 95.9 The Fan. My name's Mark, and yes, this is the Mark Moses Show, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. Right now here on the Club 52 hotline, great friend of mine who covers the world of wrestling for WrestlingWorldNews.com. His name is Richard Gray. We got to talk Daniel Bryan injury. We got to talk WWE app and Vince McMahon losing $300 million. We're going to discuss it all. Richard, how you doing today, man?
Great, Mark. Glad to be back on.
Okay, now I want to start with this. My coworker comes up to me the other day and he goes, "Hey, did WWE just lose $300 million in one day?" And I was like, look, I'm going to get the man on who can answer this question with a legitimate answer. His name is Richard. So, Richard, for our listeners out there, what happened earlier this week with Vince McMahon and the company?
Well, it was a rough week last week for WWE, and it's trickled on over to this week. The stock price fell sharply after WWE announced their new television distribution agreement with NBC Universal for Raw and SmackDown to remain on the USA Network and Sci-Fi, respectively. And basically, it comes down to this. Investors had expected WWE to double or triple what they were making annually in TV licensing fees, and WWE announced their new deal. It's going to be a significant increase. I believe they're going to get 50% more. They're going to hope to get about $200 million annually from NBC Universal from this deal. But investors were hoping for double that. I think they were really hoping for more around the $400 million mark. Maybe a little bit less than that. But it just fell well below what they thought. In fact, Vince McMahon told an investor last August that if the company did not double their licensing fees in the United States, that he would allow that investor to put him in a headlock. That didn't happen.
I've never heard of, and this was so funny, in the world of sports with TV contracts where the Big Ten is constantly making more money. The NFL, new contract, making more money. Richard, I've never heard of someone signing a new TV contract and then losing money off the contract, even though they're making... It's too confusing, Richard. I don't get this.
Well, it is, but WWE they saw what NASCAR did with Fox and NBC Universal. And of course, right now, live sports programming is at a premium in the marketplace. We just recently saw Major League Soccer double up their rights. I think they tripled their TV rights. And so they look at their programming, Raw and even SmackDown, and say, look, we've got live programming. We don't have an off season. This programming is at a premium in the marketplace. So they waited for all of their contracts. They used to negotiate each show separately, but they got everything to expire at once, and then they took it all together, and they said, okay, here it is. Here's Raw, here's SmackDown, Total Divas. Now, the highest bidder, who wants it? And it was just crickets. No, but they did not have the interest that they thought they would. And, the normal guys were there. NBC Universal was there. Viacom had interest. But basically, WWE said, look what NASCAR just got. Now, we get higher ratings than NASCAR. We want that type of money, and no one was willing to pay that.
We're here with Richard Gray. Wrestling News World is the website, and you can follow him on Twitter. It's a must if you love wrestling at WNW.com. And wait a minute. I see that Vince McMahon is now not a billionaire. So what about his daughter? She's not the $billion princess anymore. We can't call her that?
Well, the funny thing is McMahon's net worth has gone up and down and over $1 billion, under $1 billion since WWE went public over a decade ago. So it's been a wide fluctuation. The WWE stock price, though, and most financial analysts could tell you this, is that it had been traded at an inflated rate. It was overvalued because they were expecting, and I mean, when Vince McMahon says that if we don't double our TV licensing rights, you can put me in a hammerlock. That's pretty good indication that they're going to double them. So that's what people were expecting when they were talking this. But then finally, as negotiations started progressing, WWE started getting more and more quiet about it. And on their conference calls with investors, I've been on all of them, they stopped talking about it, and they didn't want to give specifics on anything. And they said, we're under negotiation, and they were very, very confident. And I think that kept people, buying in, and the prices kept climbing. And then when it's announced, it's like, Yeah, that's it, 50% more. And like you said, even with the numbers climbing, it was just so below what investors had expected. So we're just seeing a big correction in the stock price.
We're here with Richard Gray, Wrestling News World. We're discussing financial issues with wrestling. This is unbelievable. I never thought we'd do this on the radio, but what about the WWE app? It's been out for a couple months, and I know this had something to do with what you're talking about, the money-wise with the wrestling company. What are your thoughts on the app now? Because are they at 1 million subscribers?
The WWE Network, and it's the first over-the-top TV network, and it basically means they have a live network just like ESPN, except that it's not available on cable and satellite. It's available on your iPhone or your television or through your connected devices.
Yeah.
You can't just get it on cable. Well, anyways, WWE charges $9.99 a month for this, with a 6-month commitment. Their stance has been that they need 1 million domestic subscribers in the United States to start making a profit with the WWE Network. Well, after WrestleMania 30, a couple months ago, they announced that they had 667,000 subscribers, which that was on pace for the 1 million. The problem was, and I truly believe the WWE was hoping that they could announce after WrestleMania that, look, we've already reached our goal, and so this thing is just going to keep going. Well, that didn't happen, but they're still on pace. As long as they reach 1 million by the end of the year, WWE says they'll consider the WWE Network launch a success. So they're hopeful for that. The problem is that some analysts are now questioning whether 1 million subscribers is going to be enough to make the WWE Network profitable. And so that has people questioning this core business model. And so I believe that WWE they're still trying to figure it out, figure out the profitability and the expenses that come with running this type of service. So that's an issue as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We're here with Richard Gray, Wrestling News World. Well, do you like the app? I know you're talking financials there, but do you actually like using the app and watching pay-per-views on there?
Yes, absolutely. You get every WWE pay-per-view for $9.99 a month. That's down sharply from the $54 that you would have to pay through DirecTV or a cable company. It's saving me a tremendous amount of money because I buy the pay-per-views myself, and then obviously for my staff members that cover it. So it saves me a bundle. The network performs very, very well. It doesn't skip. They've got a tremendous amount of on-demand content. It's like Netflix, but it's on steroids. You can watch all this wrestling. I mean, it's amazing. It's a good product.
Okay, here's the thing. I read this as well, the idea that DirecTV, you just brought them up, they don't show the pay-per-views anymore. Isn't that kind of weird? I mean, doesn't that hurt WWE in the long run?
Well, WWE knew when they released the network at $9.99 a month that the cable and satellite providers were going to come to them and be like, well, wait a minute. You're going to release the pay-per-views on your own, and you basically don't need us anymore because you're not. If you're going to still charge fans $50-some to order them from us, but you're going to offer them for $9.99. Yes, DirecTV and Dish Network have both pulled out. They will offer shows on a show-by-show basis. But, they're like I said, they are upset because they feel that WWE just priced them out. And that's exactly what they did. And WWE is hoping that it will entice more people to subscribe to their network and just forget the cable companies.
Here's the thing. I like this WWE app. I feel like this could be the future of sports. I want your opinion on this. I wish the NFL would do this and just get rid of DirecTV, and then I could just watch my favorite NFL teams on my app. Don't you kind of feel like maybe this is the future of sports here with this WWE app?
Absolutely, and it's Major League Baseball that actually pioneered the model.
Yeah.
And WWE actually hired MLB Advanced Media to develop the WWE Network because they're number one. They understand how to do this. And I absolutely think that the NFL and NBA and the other major sports leagues should follow this model because the problem with involving the cable and satellite companies are that they have a monopoly. I mean, either if you don't subscribe to them, then you can't get these channels. So by WWE, by going around them, you don't have to be a DirecTV customer. I mean, right now to get the NFL package, you have to be a DirecTV customer. So it's smart from that perspective. But I think that the cable and satellite companies, I think they're a little fearful because they're losing a little bit of their stronghold on the pay-per-view business.
We're here with Richard Gray with WrestlingNewsWorld.com, and one more for TV with wrestling. They're bringing back Tough Enough. I loved this reality show from 10 years ago. They're actually going to bring it back, huh, Richard?
Yeah, they're going to bring it back. It aired also in 2011 on the USA Network. So this is their latest attempt to restart on it. It's going to be a WWE Network exclusive. We're still gathering details about how the format of the show is going to be. But that is another thing that WWE is going to look to entice people to subscribe to WWE Network, because you're going to be able to get Tough Enough.
Okay, who won the first one? Was it Maven? Was that his name?
It was Maven.
Nice.
And none of the winners have really gone on to have a lot of success. So I believe, and I've started to cover prospective cast members, I think they're going to start looking towards more actual trained wrestlers, and then, put the reality show spin on it. It's, Mark, I'm going to shock you with this. Reality TV is scripted.
so's my show. That's the joke.
Well, and so they're going to, I believe, with this next season, get more trained wrestlers and then kind of pretend train them on the show. That way that the people that are getting all this TV time actually make something of themselves when they do get to WWE. Because the past formats, they've tried to train these guys from scratch, and it just hasn't worked.
Oh, man, you're so funny. You're like, Mark, I just want you to know something. There's alcohol in this beer. You're so funny.
Go easy on it.
Yeah, you're so funny. We're here with Richard Gray, WrestlingNewsWorld.com. And finally, I'll end with this. They hype up Daniel Bryan to be the face, the good guy. He's taking over for John Cena. This is going to be the biggest card in all of WWE. And then he gets injured. Oh, man. Can this guy get a karma break? I mean, what's the latest on Daniel Bryan?
Yeah, it's horrible. Finally, he reaches the pinnacle, walking out of WrestleMania, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And then here comes the problem. Daniel Bryan has wrestled around the world for 15 years, very high-risk style, and he's got a neck injury. And he had surgery last week to correct some issues that were ongoing. And no timetable has been put on his return. WWE plans to address the future of their title belt next Monday on Raw from Knoxville. Mm-hmm. We'll learn more about where they want to go there. But I agree. Isn't it time for this guy to catch a break?
You're absolutely right. His name is Richard Gray, Wrestling News World. Appreciate the insight into the latest with the app, what's going on with the company losing a couple $100 million, and Daniel Bryan. It's always a pleasure to get you on, Richard, and I hope I can get you on again.
Thanks, Mark. Glad to do it.